What is going on, folks, and welcome to a comprehensive guide to booking the ultimate WWE 2K25 universe mode from what we know. Now, in this video, this is aimed at everybody. This is aimed at people who play universe mode privately and from a content creation standpoint. Now, I know you're thinking, like, who's this guy to tell me what to do? Well, I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm just telling you the methods that I've tried, which are all the possible ways that you could potentially play universe mode. If you guys have any other suggestions, then I'd be more than open. You can put them in the comments. But we're going to do it in four sections. So we're going to talk about the gameplay. So I have three methods, but we're going to talk about the gameplay. We're going to talk about production. We're going to talk about rosters. And we're going to talk about booking. So that's going to be a key aspect. So we're going to start with gameplay. So for me, I'm gonna make it really short and simple as I untangle my controller. For me, there's three methods that you can create a universe mode, and that's how it goes. So the first method I've done, and I'll scroll over to my universe mode here, which is actually the live universe mode for my YouTube channel in WWE. So we have AI versus AI, which, in my opinion, is unpredictable, but from a production standpoint, it makes it a little bit more difficult. From a booking standpoint, it makes it extremely more difficult. And from a roster perspective, you get to see and watch out the matches that you want to watch. Now, I'm gonna hop out of universe mode. I'm sorry that it's not all flashy and edited. I want to walk you guys and show you guys through what you should be doing. So should you choose to do AI versus AI, I think one thing that's very important to choreograph the matches the best as you can. The problem with AI, and I say versus AI, I always say this, is you don't have control over the results, which is henceforth why I say that it makes booking difficult, because you might have a premium live event coming up that you can't quite get the matches that you want to, or maybe the matches don't reflect what you originally want to book. Some people preemptive book, and some people like to let things unfold unnaturally. But I think one important thing is to immediately go into your gameplay settings. There's a couple of things I change. So this is my settings for. I'm not going to change the settings. So this is my settings for another way we're going to do it, which I'm going to tell you about. So I think it's very important that you turn everything off, like the HUD, the superstar HUD, the controller. I believe it's this one. So for difficulty, I would put it on hard. I would have the similar sliders to me. I'll briefly gloss over the sliders. I don't want to bore you guys to death. I'd put blood on. It is used far too frequently, though. I think it should be a lot less presentation. I have the ramp camera. That's preference. That's whatever you want to see. I'm sure we get more creative in 2K25 because we can have entrances and stuff as a free cam. I would recommend using the free cam if you're willing to control it. I turn spectate control display off. This is a big one that everybody misses because it's just annoying. It's just in the top left of the screen. And then control, help, and match train hub off. HUD, sorry. Then it's balancing. So this is my own personal preference, and everybody has their own personal preference. There's a couple of ones that I would really recommend doing, especially for AI versus AI. This one, finisher reversal rate, is it really important, because that's kind of gives you that back and forth at the end of the match. And it doesn't always, like, if you don't have this up to the max, you will see that finishes just very rarely get reversed. AI difficulty damage scaling is another one, because this means that the better superstars are so much more dominant, and it's hard to explain. But I'm just telling you the core ones. And then I think another important one is stamina cost. I'd up that a bit. Weapon reversal, because they always seem to hit weapons. And then I'd scroll over to your advanced, and I think this one's probably the most important. So here, these six actually, finisher and signature. This is what I use for Raw and SmackDown. But if I'm doing a PLE, that goes to 0 like that. That goes to 0 like that. That stays the same, because it gives you. It means that the last finisher you did, the damage, the influence doesn't last forever. Essentially, that's it. So we're talking about gameplay here. So that's the first method, is AI versus AI. Second and third, a player versus AI. So for those of you who want to be, so the first part was for those who want a purely backseat experience to watch what unfolds and see what happens. For player versus AI, it's more you have control, which is, I'm assuming, what 60 to 70% of people want to do. So there's two methods to playing player versus AI. There is playing, which is you pick a superstar, you try to win the match, and that's what happens. Or there's what I do, which is called choreographing, and I've just called it that. So we'll talk about both. So if you're playing, it's for the enjoyment. So you just build a universe mode, let you either book it yourself or let the AI system book it. You you have a match card like this. This is not a match card, by the way. You have a match card like this, and you play the matches, and you play who you want to win. That's essentially it. That's a good way to do it if you want to keep engaged and you want to enjoy the game and be good at the game and get good gameplay. You could maybe even put the difficulty up to legendary. And we'll touch on booking things later on. But that's just simply what the second method is. You just play it as if it's a video game. You pick a superstar, you go to win. Now, choreographing is what me and a lot of universe mode content creators do, and this is where it gets a little bit more technical. So choreographing entails planning. So for somebody like me, when I do choreographing, I will pick. So let's use this match card as an example. Every show I have 4 matches. And when we talk about rosters, we'll talk about how many matches I think is reasonable, depending on what you're trying to create. Now, if you're choreographing matches, there is also 2 sub-methods to doing this. You can go the boring way, and you can always play as the winner. Or you can do what I do, where you have 4 matches, for example. Some weeks you'll play as 2 winners and 2 losers. Some weeks you'll play as 3 winners and 1 loser. Some weeks you'll play as 4 losers and not win a match. But you'll choreograph the match. Now, there's a couple of reasons I think this is effective, and I'm trying to think of examples of where you could use this outside of content creation. So also for your own personal diary, should you want to ever record your universe mode clips and relive a story in the future, you can build this exactly the way you want it. With choreographing, it requires planning. This is more the booking section of things, and I'm going to show you exactly how I book everything. From the spreadsheet and everything, I'm going to show you exactly what I do. I'm going to show you like an old booking like that's already out on the YouTube channel, so you don't have to have any spoilers if you want to watch the universe mode. But that's a later thing. So with choreographing, you pick how many people you want to play. So for example, in this particular episode of Raw that I've just played, which is as you can see, I don't know why Damian Priest's in there. So this is not an accurate match card. This isn't the match card that I had. It's nothing to do with any kind of episode on my universe mode. So, for example, in this match, I would play as, I know it's Cody. Let's say it's Damian versus Cody. Now, Damian Priest is who I want to win, but I want to make Cody look strong, and I might want Damian to win dirty. So what I can do is I can play as Cody, put the settings on normal so I have control of the match, because I can play the game on legendary at a reasonably comfortable level. Putting it on normal and using the sliders that I use, which you can quickly see if you pause the video, you will get the AI, when you give it that little gap, will give you an offense. So you can choreograph it. So one way you can do it is, say for example, I'm Cody Rhodes in this match, and I want Damian Priest to win, but win by in a hellacious match, but Cody comes so close. I can hit finishers, and I can selectively choose where I pin, and if I pin, I can use camera angles to look like when I release the kick out that Damian kicks out. If I want more of a controversial win, So, say if I'm wanting Damien to win in a very specific way via count out, for example, I would pick to play as Damien Priest, but the people who watch the videos would never know that's the ending. So you have to be selective with what you pick. And that for me is the 3 methods of playing. AI versus AI, which I'll talk about in booking, makes it extremely difficult. Player versus AI, but you play the game as if it's a game. And player versus AI, you play as if you're Triple H, but you don't just watch, because you don't just sit there and watch. You influence the match. I call it influencing, I don't call it playing. You influence the match, you influence what people are going to see. Now, I know I told you this in a different order, but I feel like Rosters is the place where I want to go next, because Rosters fits into production nicely. So, Rosters is so unique to every individual person. A roster to me is a representation of what you would like to see based off your own personal interests. So, for example, me, I like authentic, realistic, up-to-date, and accurate rosters. That's because, and the reason I'd create the universe mode the way I do is because I want to see if I can book the WWE and AEW better than the product that's on TV. But it's difficult in a video game. So, we're going to get philosophical, and it could be quite boring, it could be just you listening to me, but I implore you, just hear me out. Think about what you want. Do you want a fully authentic roster? Do you want a mixed hybrid? Do you want to see superstars who you think could fit better in AEW on AEW? How does this impact what 2K25? Well, that's more in the production aspect of it. And the booking aspect is pretty universal across all. But rosters, so some of the most common questions I see on other tutorial videos is, how big should my roster be? How many matches should I have per show? And how many weeks should I have in between premium live events? So, I'll be honest, I go with the default calendar for WWE. I change and update the graphics, as you can see. I've got SmackDown here. I go there and I have a look. I've got an arena. I download certain arenas that I want to use. I don't overwhelm the game by downloading 50 arenas. I download the ones I'm using at the time. And we'll talk about production. You might see like 2 Raws and 2 SmackDowns. There's a reason I do that. And I'll tell you in production. So, if you want AEW, you can do it Wednesday, Saturday. Dynamite Collision, like me, you can do it any day of the week. Now, drafting rosters. Now, it's difficult to balance drafting rosters to drafting rosters that are fully used. So, I'm getting into booking a little bit, and I'm trying to keep it purely to rosters. For rosters, so the key thing that I think is the most important thing in the entirety of Universe Mode is balancing. Now, balancing rosters for me is essential to every Universe Mode. So what do I mean by balancing rosters? So if I go to Monday Night Raw, I don't know if I've sorted out the divisions. I have John Cena, Roman Reigns, AJ Styles, CM Punk and Jey Uso in the world title picture. For me to be, or for people who watch my videos to be as invested as SmackDown, I have to replicate that level of superstars in on SmackDown. Now, I know I don't have them equipped right now, so it's kind of a bad situation, but if we're going to select them, I have Drew, Gunther, Shinsuke, Cody, etc. So here's the thing. I wouldn't put LA Knight in there, so here's the thing. I'm balancing the roster because whilst I might have Raw that's focused more on star power, on SmackDown I'm focused more on the best wrestlers. So it balances it out, and it also makes the product different on SmackDown to what it is on Raw. So on Raw you're probably going to see more dream matches. On SmackDown you're probably going to see more technical matches, if that makes sense. And that's kind of my thought process behind this. Now, if I can quickly load up, and this is roster as well, so what I do is, I'm not doxing anyone, but if I roll up and I want to switch to AEW, which I'll do for this, I create multiple profiles. I console share across PS5 so that all of them have WWE 2K24, and it will be 2K25, and I go in and I have an AEW one, so I name this one AEW. So we go to AEW, we go to WWE 2K24, and this is for the AEW guys. So my AEW is hyper realistic, and it's also different from a roster perspective. There's a lot more superstars. So rather than having a brand split, which is what I'm assuming most people want to do, this might seem pointless, but if we get over all this, don't know how loud the music's going to be, that's the problem. If we get over all this, I'll put create safe mode on. I'll show you. AEW Universe mode, which is very different to my WWE Universe mode. So from a roster perspective, that was a brand split, so I balance them. I always make sure I have the same amount of people in each division. So that goes down tag teams. So I showed the world level, but that would apply to the women. That would apply to the women's mid-card. That would apply to the tag teams. That would apply to the men's mid-card. If I have 10 wrestlers on SmackDown of mid-card level, I would have 10 wrestlers on Raw of mid-card level. No more, no less. Because if you're ever going to do a competitive cross-brand PLE, you need to have that ability to be able to pull someone from Raw and SmackDown where either person can win the match. Now, I would recommend a roster of... So I have a little plan, and I will put it in the editing, and I have a little plan. This is how I draft it. 10 men, 10 women, 4 tag teams, 5 extra picks. So what do I mean by that? So 10 men, so usually that's just any 10 wrestlers. But the way you see it is you pick 5 that you want in your world title scene, 5 that you want in your mid-card title scene. 10 women, exactly duplicate that. Because you're not trying to overwhelm yourself with too many people. I'm very experienced in the fact that I've played this game since its inception. Universe mode, so I can handle and accept not having certain people appear on shows. I know how to do it, and I can explain briefly, and I will explain how I deal with that in the booking section. The booking section will probably be the meaty part of this. This video could be an hour long, but it's very important that should you not want to watch it all in one go, you watch it in parts. I think there is things that you can take from what I say that might help, and you can interpret them and adapt them to your universe mode. So the way I draft it, 10 women, 10 men, 5 of each. 4 tag teams, 4 or 5 tag teams, give or take. That's your tag team division. 5 extra picks. Well, if you feel anything's light, so you might want to add another tag team as a pick. You might want to add another woman, and then 3 more mid-carders. It's all flexibility, but that way you should have a roster of around 40, which is heavy and it's deep. You got to see it as like a sports squad. So if you play football, it's like a squad. That's the way I see it. Plenty of depth. So should you want to write somebody off universe mode with an injury, you have plenty of people there waiting that can perform. Now, this is a more advanced. What I'm about to show you is more advanced. It isn't only applicable to AEW, and I'm going to show you why. And I know we've been sat on this screen. So as you can see, 68 participants and only 4 matches. Collision, it's 68 and 3 matches. However, did you notice how I did different titles on both shows? So, if you want a big roster, this is more specific to like your TNAs, your AEW, the shows that are, you just want one show. So, I do a brand split unofficially. So, like, here on Dynamite, I have the World Championship, the Women's World Championship, the Continental, and I use the tag teams as and when I can fit them in. So you'll see on Collision, I have the tag teams, but I have the TNT, I have the TBS, and the International. Or the Mid-Atlantic, whatever you want to call it. So, every superstar that I've drafted, if I can go to my show, is eligible for both shows. So here you go. Here is the roster. You see in the AEW roster right now. So any of these superstars can compete on Dynamite or on Collision, as you can see on Shelton Benjamin. I think we can go for a better looking person to put on, maybe Tony. Yeah, we'll leave Tony on for a bit. Yeah, so also when you're doing your rosters, one thing, especially if you're using cores, is to make sure the overalls are correct, but that's just a side note. So if you're using a big roster, I think it's really important to decide and write a spreadsheet, potentially, if you have accessibility to a laptop or a phone, which we all do. You can use Google Docs. Do like an unofficial brand split and just write who you want to mainly show on Dynamite and who you mainly want to show on Collision. Storylines will change throughout the year, so say for example Jay White and Adam Cole, who I have here, their rivalry's on Dynamite at the moment, but it might be the case later down the year. Jay White, I can't really see him being a world champion. I'm kind of already occupied with the Continental Championship, but the International Championship on Collision is free, and whoever's the champion's not got a rivalry. I might decide to move Jay White onto Collision for a 4-week program, if that makes sense. I may be talking a lot of crap. And with the rosters, with the tag teams, I'm going to briefly... I know it's quite an in-depth thing, but with the tag teams, 2 methods of doing it. Authentic or make your own. Now, I suggest using AI to create your own. Sometimes they have really cool suggestions if you just copy and paste your roster into ChatGPT. Say, look, I'm looking for some cool tag teams using X. What these superstars? What do you think? They can come up with some surprise things. Also, you can come up with your own. But I don't recommend having more than 5 teams and maybe a faction at most. So, with that being said, we're going to go on to production, and then we'll touch on booking at the end, because booking's technical, and it's different for every individual person. And I don't want to make that section as if I'm telling you how to book. I'm trying to think of a way that I can just show you an effective way to manage your booking, if that makes sense. So with production, first thing, like I said, is that the most important thing for me is the intention of your universe mode. Why do you play universe mode? This is the question. Do you play it for your own entertainment? Do you play it to produce content? Do you play it to, relive things or change history? Why do you play it? So from a production aspect, I'm going to let you into a few secrets I use, and show you within the game, because I know not everybody's got the ability to edit in graphics like I do and things like that. If you have a computer, that's a video that's really technical in itself. But from a production standpoint, in 2K25 we're going to have promos. So it's about production. So production for me is the visual aspect. How do you present your content to either yourself or your audience? So it's about structure as well. How many matches should you have? 4. The best universe modes on YouTube will have at least 2 to 3 segments of promos, because it involves people that are on match cards, and it keeps context and storyline implications active. So if I'm wanting to create a promo, and this is one quick thing I wanted to show you, just real quick. So we'll do a promo on ECW, which is fine. Now, you can set up a custom match, or you can use falls count anywhere, which is what I use, so you don't get counted out. So we're going to create an ECW promo between, let's use Devon, actually. Devon Dudley's going to cut a promo. Doesn't really matter who I pick select. Now, to make this easier, you would have 2 controllers. That is the way you need. So if you're creating content, you really want 2 controllers, and I would invest that money in a second controller before you go buying any fancy equipment, because the production value of having a promo is so much different if you can be completely free. So not only am I going to show you an in-ring promo, I'm not going to really talk too much over it. I'm just going to show you how I do it. So Devon's going to be cutting a promo, so what I need to do... Oh, my controller is broke, by the way. Didn't mean to hit him. I need to get Roman out the ring. So when you see Devon do this section here, this stance where he's kind of looking at Roman, but he's not really in fighting stance, we have him here. Now, the referee, you're going to think is a problem. So what I would say is I'd leave this for 15 to 20 seconds. And I'm going to show you, if you can watch... I would watch this section on repeat and practice it. That sounds so stupid, but you should practice it. So what you want to do is, with your primary, you want to go to highlight reel. The first thing you want to press, I've done it so many times, is the right analog stick. You want to zoom in and change the focus to whoever you want the promo to be about. Okay? So you can see the referees in it. So I'm going to use R2 or RT to cut. I'm going to get an angle using the left analog stick where I can see a bit of the crowd, maybe. And that's annoying because that referee's in a really bad spot. So then we've got Devon here. So he's cutting a promo. So obviously you write your promos. The referee don't matter so much. You can do it this way against the crowd. I mean, the referee's in a really bad position. Or you could do it with the ramp in the background. I'm going to go... This occasion we're going to use the crowd in the background. So we zoom out. Should you find it looks a little bit blurry, change the look, and then it'll clear it up. So the look can be changed by X. So we kind of want a straight on angle without the referee. So that's gonna mean we need to zoom in and move up. I'm making this look way harder than it is. So I've got an angle here. Can't see the referee's arm. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide using the down on the D-pad. I'm going to press the right analog stick in. And I always record 15 seconds and loop it. So 34 minus 15, you're looking for around 20 seconds. Just give or take. So once you've got 20 seconds and you've used LT to scroll back to the start point, you can click L1 to select your start point. You click down. Then you hit record. You click X. And this is what you get. So this is a promo. You will then write your promo. And I know the referee came up, but this is just very brief. You will fine tune it and edit it so the referee's not in. So that's your promo. That's 15 seconds of a promo. Now, if I'm wanting to do a promo between Roman and Devon, and I'll have Devon on the stage, I would do the technique that I just did for Devon there in the ring, and then we're going to use Devon again because I just like Devon. So Devon, so we've got a nice area here in ECW where it looks like a bit of a promo area. So what you want to do is, same again, stand him, make sure Roman's not in range, wait 15 seconds, and then use the highlight reel. I'm not going to get into writing promos because that's everybody. I don't want to tell anybody what they should and shouldn't do. I'm just showing you some tips on production, how you can make it more immersive. So again, change your look. Now we found that tag 2 on Devon Dudley is quite a good one. So we zoom it in. Now we notice there's loads of space above his head. So I'm actually letting you have a little dive into my production. Here, this is a perfect angle. We get the monitors in the background. Do we want them? Well, we can zoom out a little bit. Scroll down, right analog stick in, change your start point to 20 seconds. And when you're editing your video, you just loop this. So you scroll back to 20 seconds. Down on the D-pad to hide the bar. And then X. Here you have a base loop which you can use for the entirety of your ECW Universe mode forever, unless you want to change attires or anything. So you have a, in less than 30 seconds or maybe 5 minutes of messing around, you have a Devon in-ring promo and you have a Devon backstage promo in less than 3 minutes. So that's it for production. And sometimes when I'm making trailers, if I'm doing a move, so say for example Roman here, I'm going to show you. If I want to cut something in, so say this move here, what I'll do is I'll highlight reel. The highlight reel is such a good tool for production, and I'll get it to the angle I want. So we want to focus on Roman this time, so you can actually focus on both. But if I'm making a trailer, I want to get the crowd and the referee in there, and maybe the ring and the ECW thing there. So what you want to do is you want to bring this bar up, bring it to the start of the move. If you're making a trailer, you can just down, exactly like before, get the bit you want, and then cut it like that. And just record that bit, and then put it in your trailer. So that's production. in a nutshell, more advanced. Obviously, this might still be the case in 2K25 because we don't know what promos are going to be. We don't know how much and how in depth they're going to be, and how much they're going to take up, like, and be linear, and you can't really improvise. So that is a second option that will be there in 2K25. And that's production. In terms of matches, I've told you the ramp setting I use. I've showed you what I hide from a presentation standpoint. For me, for those of you who do know advanced, I create my graphics in Photoshop, and I always look at what's on WWE television. I look at the structure, or AEW television. I see they do drone shots before every episode. If you credit the people, there's some copyright-free drone footage of every city in the United States, so you can just download that and put it in front and put a little graphic you create over the top saying live from, and it just adds that level of immersion. The graphics, I'm not going to go into, like I said, that's everybody. There's YouTube videos that can help you develop on your graphical standpoint. I use Photoshop, I use renders from DeviantArt, and I try the best I can to make it look as immersive as possible. And that's it, really. So we're going to get into booking. So for booking, I'm going to hop over to my PC. So if you just bear with me a second, that's where I'm going to be. So, a spreadsheet, he says. So Google Docs, I'm obviously on PC, but you guys can actually access this on your phone. Now I'm going to focus on AEW, but I'll show you my WWE one. So here you go. I even write prompts to myself, like I told you earlier. This is just a draft template, so you keep your rosters in. If you can see on the bottom, yours won't be as convoluted as this. You would have WWE rosters and WWE booking. Simple. So, I don't want to do WWE because I'm still actively creating the content that will show. AEW, for example, I have the rosters. I write loads of notes everywhere. Here. So this isn't important, but it's not relevant because it's already happened. But I have potential strands. So if you have a look here, Mina Shirakawa, who's my AEW Women's Champion, I have notes from her past. These are all her past matches. So if I'm wanting to refer to anything, I can do that. I always wanted a double feud with Anna Jay and Mercedes Moné. Pre-planned that. And here we go. I wanted Mercedes Moné to get a victory over Harley Cameron to showcase Mercedes Moné, keep it realistic, but give Harley Cameron a good showing. Booking. Okay. So I am going to show you this element of my booking. So this is how I do it. This is how I started. This is how I do it. So, first and foremost, from a content creation standpoint, I plan out every episode for the date. As you can see, 1st of Feb, 5th of Feb. That's just the way it goes. I'm going to go no lower than this. I have stars, which I'll talk about. But first, this is just a quick one. So let's have a look all over you will make your own spreadsheet to your own liking. So if you have a look here, I have this little green section, which you might think is just rubbish or nothing. I've just dumped it there for no reason. So notes for future episodes. So this is what? So this is planning. This is the level of planning I go to. It's insanity, bro. So, actually, I'll tell you. So, as we were just talking about production, this is a list of locations that I found that AEW's been to. Not 100%. I've added some more of my own, but these are that I use, and I just rotate them. And what I do is, I'm doing a Google Sheets. I click right, view more selections, and randomize range. So it's a different order because I have the same on WWE. So they go to random places. So these are things that I've noticed. So this little section here, I've booked my 10 episodes, which you can see here. So this is when I were doing AI VAI. It makes the booking extremely difficult because you might have initially a plan, and then if somebody you want to push for a title starts losing consistently, it makes it very difficult to justify why they should be in in the title picture. But so we look at the top 10 episodes. So here on the right, This is like a review of how I think that the top 10 episodes went. So, the TBS title for me was not used enough, or at least the TBS champion. So what I want to do in episodes 11 to 20 is use it for an opportunity for other women with the same with the international. Episodes 19 and 20 are Maximum Carnage. This was an initial plan, so I put it into to 3 sections. This is kind of notes and references to what I've done poorly or I could improve. This is title stuff. It's just a miscellaneous category, and then rivalries beyond this point. Now, the reason I've chose this one is because none of these are what I'm doing. So, going forward, I wanted MJF to be more active. He's a key part of the roster, but I didn't use him nowhere near enough. So, I wanted to put him in a good feud with somebody who was already proactive, like Kenny Omega or Buddy Matthews. Co-op Open will continue. Edge soon to be in a feud, probably weeks 21. So this is a provisional note. So I noticed the Co-op Open will become repetitive and boring. So how can I use Co-op or Edge in a better section? So showcase matches is something that I do. Now a showcase match is, I don't know if it's my own invention, it's the word I use for this. So a showcase match is a match with no rivalry tied to it. It's a match that showcases superstars and shows their presence on TV. You see AEW and WWE doing this in real life. It's just to show that people are still alive, basically. So I planned for Death Riders to have a contract for the tag team titles. If you've seen my universe mode, they did, and they lost. I never planned the result, so this was player versus AI without the result. Next, Dynamite special likely to be War Games. So this was what I initially planned. But then I took a seat back and thought, I've just done the Royal Rumble. If I do War Games, it's going to overwhelm people. So I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to introduce WWE. I'm going to make the booking and the storytelling longer and more creative. So title stuff. So one of the main things that I do, and I'm sure everybody does, is if you have like a certain amount of titles, sometimes you forget about some exist. This is just a guidance of what I have to do. So I have to, TBS title will be non-feuded. So there won't be a feud, but there'll be a random. I want to see it defended 2 times on these 10 episodes, which is fine. And then, of course, you got the rivalry stuff. So we go over to the actual booking, this is the method I use now. So for Collision, I normally colour it blue, and that's why I left it. And for Dynamite, I colour it yellow, so I know what show it is. So if I'm just skating through and I see the latest one, I look for the yellow or the blue. So this is what I planned. Okay? So this is what I planned, and with the results. So I already had the results because I was playing these matches, right? So 4 matches, which is what I want on Collision. I want 3. So I'd change that. So future, in my booking, I'm going to change it to 3. But if you've noticed, I have 3 sections of segments, like what I showed you in production. So this will be about, without the 4th match, Collision ideally will be about 35 minutes long to 40 minutes. That's how long I want it. And I choreograph it, so I want it this way. Now, this is before I start. This is AI versus AI. But what I do is I plan, I watch, I commentate, and I review. Kyle Fletcher versus Darby Allin was the start of a rivalry that I'd planned, but it was only a 2-star match. So I decided to, instead of it just be against Kyle Fletcher, which wasn't a very good match, I decided Kyle Fletcher has the Don Callis family. Konosuke Takeshita is a better wrestler. Let's see how the dynamic works with Takeshita and Darby Allin. You got to give it a 2-star out of 5. So I'm not going to revisit that. I'm going to try change what's wrong about it. Here, Chris Statlander versus Megan Bayne. Well, Chris Statlander actually forced Harley Cameron into that match. It was a 3-star match. So although it is only a 3-star match, it delivered exactly what I wanted to do, in the sense that Megan Bayne got a victory over Harley, making her look strong and making her feud with Chris Statlander, more believable. The FTR versus the Outrunners, and a tag team tournament match, 4 stars. The reason I didn't give it 5 stars, and I went back and I reviewed it, is because I'm trying to improve every episode. So why I only give it 4 stars, the match length was too long. I don't want tag team matches to go over 10 to 12 minutes. This match was nearly 20 minutes. So it's a 4 star. It wasn't that the match was bad, it's the timing, and that's what I'm saying. With booking, everything's about timing. Anna Jay versus Mercedes Martinez. I planned for Anna Jay to retain, but I really wanted to make Mercedes Martinez look strong. It ended up being a 5-star match, which tells me that I've elevated the level of the TBS Championship exactly like I planned over here to have it defended twice, wherever it is. I've defended it once, and the result of that was actually a 5-star match. So with the booking, I mean, I'm not going to go into the details of every promo, but I have 2 types of booking. I have segment promo. This is a promo. This is where I'd use the Devon thing I showed you. This is a segment. So a segment is a quick recording on the highlight reel of MVP announcing a tag team tournament. This isn't necessarily the match order. So how do I improve that down here? Which I think the episodes will have come out. I'm not sure. But we're going to use these 2. Because I'm going to make this video come out maybe later. I'm not sure. But it will be after these. I don't know what date these episodes are on. 11th of Feb. Yeah, so video will be out after them. So this is more accurate booking, because this is where I am doing choreography, so I can determine the matches. So I haven't reviewed these matches, because if it doesn't go the way I want, I redo the match. I haven't had that so far. So Dark Order versus Iron Savages. So when I wrote these promos, so ignore everything above here, where the highlighted line is, everything above here is AI versus AI. This is where I start to take control of the universe mode, and I've always took control of the WWE one. So I decided that AI versus AI booking was too difficult, because I wasn't able to produce the shows that I wanted to give enough credibility to the matches that I wanted to display to you guys on universe mode. So how can I fix that? Well, I can intervene and I can influence, which is exactly what I did. How can I make it so that I'm playing and I'm influencing the match, but it's not always predictable? Some matches I choose to be the winner, some matches I choose to be the loser. It's as simple as that. And it's completely random. So, how I do generate this is I put this match card into ChatGPT. I let ChatGPT decide who I'll play as, and that's it. Like a randomizer. So Dark Order versus Iron Savages. I wanted Iron Savages to win, but I played as Dark Order. Why did I play as Dark Order? Because I don't want Dark Order's debut to be a crushing. I want them to look quite strong. And if I'm playing as Iron Savages and I know I'm going to win, it's going to be the case that I'm going to dominate the majority of the match. So how can I make it so that the Dark Order are strong? Play as Dark Order. Don Callis sends out Takeshita to face Darby. If he wins, Callis family get an international title shot, and Takeshita's going to win. So we had a 2-star match between Darby Allin and Kyle Fletcher. Never intended to write Kyle Fletcher off for a little bit, but because of how disappointed I were in the match, I did. I brought Don Callis into the story, made it an actual story, and I sent out Takeshita, who is a better wrestler. He faced Darby Allin and he beat him, and I played as Takeshita, and I made sure that Takeshita beat him in good style. For the elimination, it was actually just a fatal 4-way. Tatum, Wendy Chu, Deonna, Thea. Deonna won, and that's who I wanted to win. So what do I do in a fatal 4-way match? Well, I can play as the loser because I can choreograph it in a way that I can make sure that Deonna Purrazzo gets the win by either pinning me or someone else. So I have the superstar hood up, but I cut that out in the video. So I know when she's got a finisher and I know when to time it. But in this instance, I played as Deonna because I know on normal difficulty I'm more than capable of winning 99 out of 100 fatal 4-ways that I play. So I made the other women, I didn't put full on offense mode. I made Tatum, I made Wendy and Thea look strong. And so on and so forth. Big Bill and Jericho. Jericho never showed for the match. Well, I did a cutscene. I used the rivalry actions, and I made sure that he left the match before it was over. So, booking. get it on a spreadsheet, plan it, and just plan like 4 weeks in advance. And this is how you manage it with your rosters, like I told you. Exactly the same. 40, 40, exactly like I said. 40, 40, they have the same. It's balanced. It has the same amount of tag teams, the same amount of factions, and everything. Balancing for your booking, simple. Have 4 weeks with a PLE at the end. Write your PLE first. That's the biggest tip I can give you. Set your PLE match card up first and then plan how you're going to get there. But that is the booking essentially, guys. I just wanted to show you it quickly. I can't tell you how to book. I was telling you why I do the things that I want. What I would suggest is you do use things like Google Sheets to manage it. But anything you guys, any questions you have, leave in the comments. I will answer them for you. And yeah, I hope you you managed to take some of what I said and put it in your own universe mode. Let me know if you did. But I will see you later.